Hey, this is DNA, and I got this request from my girlfriend, of course, and this video is about how to know if you're in love and being in love and the symptoms of it and all of that. So the first thing I want to talk about is, alright, when you say you like somebody or you like something, it's the same thing as saying that you are like that person or that thing. Like you relate to it and you feel some connection, similarity. And when you love something or somebody, something or someone, somebody, you feel a certain level of respect, an advanced level of respect, a more advanced admiration, or more advanced appreciation for it. You have similar values and you have similar, not so much characteristics, but values, I guess. Okay, so being in love is being consumed by those feelings. They affect your day-to-day life. They affect your mind, your body, and your emotions, and your perception of life and possibly death. Now, the first thing, I'm gonna compare how I used to be in love with my girlfriend and hip hop, and how my cousin or somebody that I know is in love with sex. So we have a physical act, a an artistic expression, and a person. Now, the first symptom of being in love that I noticed was, this is not the first one, this is the second one, but this is the most apparent one to me. I'm gonna save that one for last, but one symptom of being in love is that you want to make some changes, and you might not necessarily think there's anything wrong with you, but nobody's perfect, and what you want to I wanted to be the best me already, the best, strongest me, but just being in love made me feel that extra motivation to take those steps. Like, I smoke right now cigarettes, and I smoked weed, and I drink, and I didn't drink that much until a little bit later, but she expressed her dislike for those habits that I had in my life. So I jogged, and I quit smoking for a couple of days, for 3 days. I jogged while I smoked, not at the same time, but while I was still smoking, and I really did try to stop. I really did try to stop, and I stopped smoking weed for her, which is not a good thing. Even though I only smoked weed like 3 times after that, but I wasn't really heavy on smoking or drinking before. Um, I stopped smoking and I jogged. That was one change that I was willing to comply with. Now, I didn't make any changes for hip hop. I changed who I listened to and the amounts of hip hop that I consumed. But as far as going through real changes consciously, I didn't. See, now my cousin, he is in love with sex, and what he told me was basically his whole life revolved around sex. He didn't say that, but he told me that. So in a different way, he changed how he dressed. He changed how he talked, how he would handle certain situations, and he changed his interest, what music he listened to when females came around, or someone who was a potential sexual interaction. So that's one of the first symptoms. The next symptom is the amount of, you notice that you want to spend time, a lot of time with this person, and you think about this person, and you worry and have a slight anxiety, or a slight, you start to notice, it makes you crazy. See, being in love is a drug. Love is a drug by itself, but being in love is like, it's more like, love is like weed. Being in love is like coke. It's like, it's two different extremes, basically. So not talking to her, not being around her, it didn't give me a certain amount of anxiety, but it did make me worry, and it made me think about her. Of course, when she was there, if you think about smoking weed all day, then weed, I was in love with weed. I'm gonna talk about that. I was always thinking about weed until I got the weed and I was high and everything was okay. I was thinking about her at work, on the bus, on the train, and when I talked to her, it was like, fuck. It was like coming, like for real. And my cousin, he was just, every conversation that he had with anybody else was about sex, females, or always saw him with some females, ready to go get some females, getting a haircut, buying some kind of shoes or clothes. When he would get the shoes or the clothes or the cut, he would always say something to the effect of, bitch is gonna be all over me for this. Damn, the bitch is gonna like this shit. And I was just, whatever. That was his reaction. That was his initial thought. The next sacrifices that you're willing to make, if you're not willing to make sacrifices, then you're not in love. Real sacrifices to put yourself in real discomfort or real danger. I'm not saying that you have to, or they have to be life or death situations, but a lot of the times it could lead to that. Rent, bills, sacrifices. Not quitting your job and doing retarded shit. I'm talking about putting yourself in uncomfortable situations for that person, whether it feels right or wrong or safe or not. If you're not willing to make yourself uncomfortable, get on the bus or the train for a couple hours or an hour just to see that person, even though certain situations may make you feel uncomfortable, if you are not willing to do that, you're not in love. You don't want to spend as much time as you can with that person. I'm not saying if you're legit busy, but if you just want to go to a party when you have the time, if you've been busy all week and you choose to go to a party instead of being with that person that you're supposedly in love with, then you're not in love. And I talked about changes, I talked about sacrifice, anxiety, the worry. When you worry about that person, when you feel a real, and worry and anxiety go hand in hand. If I know that if I know that there's a possibility that this person could be in real danger or really be stressed out or in harm's way somehow, and it gives you anxiety, it makes you shake, it makes you physically react to that, that's when you know that you're in love. Crying spontaneously. The next thing is, being in love makes you more sexual. When you're first in love, even if it's not a sexual thing, when you hear that person's voice, when you smell something, it gives you a certain charge. It makes you, shit, it made me ready to go. When I picked up that phone and I heard her voice, it was there, an excitement, an energetic pulse that ran through me that made me horny. Even if that wasn't where I was at mentally, physically, just that signal, that audio signal coming from her, and the tone of her voice, whether she was happy or not, just getting excited. Sometimes when people get into fights, they get aroused. That's never happened to me. Sometimes when people drive fast, they get aroused. Talking to her, even if it was non-sexual, at the very beginning, boom, as soon as I heard that ringtone, boom, I was good. Ready to go. All right. And the last thing is, you feel a certain energetic, even if you're sensitive to energies or not. Like I said in my previous videos, I meditate, so I'm pretty sensitive to energies. But me talking to her and her telling me that she loved me and professing that to me, it gave me more energy. I don't know if it was hormones in my body or things like that was just giving me that extra adrenaline or whatever it was. Because when we first started talking, she was going through some things. She would have to call me at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, or we would talk to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I have to work at 8. I have to be at work at 8, on the bus at 7:05. So going through that, I noticed that I didn't need as much sleep, and I've never been that much of a sleeper, but I always got my 6 hours in. So me experiencing her in that caliber, in that way, it just gave me the extra boost. And I always felt like a cocoon around me, or like an aura, or something was